hydrostatic pressure, because of which the components you find in capillaries would be kind of similar to what you would see in the interstitial fluid, only if there was a way to extract them conveniently and use them for assay. And this presents a need for an efficient, cost-effective, and minimally invasive device to fulfill the purpose. And that's where we step in. We propose an idea for a microneedle coupled fluid extraction pump that can successfully be used to extract the interstitial fluid in the basal membrane in one situation. In another situation, it also serves as an external probe to give you an online readout of the amount of biomarker simultaneously. This can be used for continuous markering of biomarkers under the skin, or even for rapid assay. This is the way the device works. The device is inserted into the skin by using an insertion mechanism for a regular infusion pump. And all you would have to do is generate a negative pressure by hitting this button over here when the device sits on your skin. Once you generate negative pressure, it pulls in the interstitial fluid into a reservoir, and this can be further stored or pipetted out for analysis. So currently we're at the prototyping phase. We have successfully applied for a grant from the National Science Foundation, and we're currently building the device and also conducting customer interviews with major pharmaceutical companies and biotech startups to see if we can partner, collaborate, and further expand the device to use for patients. So here are some funds that we have requested / been granted from a difference maker. That's our roadmap. Well, thank you very much for listening, and I'll like to take any questions.
So, quick question: is there any independent research that shows a relative concentration of various, hormones, biomarkers like cytokines, other things like, for example, glucose? Any differences between interstitial fluid and blood plasma?
Absolutely. There have been studies conducted in pharmaceutical labs that shows the different concentrations in blood and interstitial fluid. However, there exist standards that offer comparison between both of them. So, yeah, there exist standards that can quantify the amount of glucose, for that matter, you find in interstitial fluid and compare it with that in blood. Okay. Yeah.
So the science is well proven?
Yeah, it is proven. There are a lot of publications that have this.
Sid, on the nice job, by the way. On the opportunity side, you talked a little about the risk of infection, and obviously, I'm thinking that's the compelling movement here you want to make is if a single-use extraction pump has a medium risk of infection, or AI-coupled extraction systems have a high risk. Have you thought about quantifying sort of the opportunity there? So if I can cut, my product will cut that risk of infection by this percentage, and that turns into this many dollars. Have you thought?
Right. So the way we're approaching that is one of the ways we're approaching that is through the materials we incorporate in these devices. So mostly these devices, the extraction component of it, that is the needles or needle syringes that are using that, they rely on medical grade stainless steel. Now that has been proven to cause complications with tissue swelling or just damaging sensitive veins. We're relying on using polymeric microneedles and biomaterials that would actually dissolve within the skin, within the body, and wouldn't cause any serious complications. We're taking a fluid that's found within the body. It's called hyaluronic acid, and we have devised the method to cross-link it to create a device that could be used to probe the skin and not cause any complications as such. And that's how we get rid of any complications that would be effective with these devices.
Yeah. Well, kind of what I'm getting at is we know that on average, like a sepsis infection costs like $15,000 to cure. Right. Okay. So if you can bring that aspect into this and say, one sepsis at one opportunity to cut off one sepsis case is a $15,000 opportunity, right?
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So when we looked at it from, so the last time I pitched this idea, someone asked me the same question.
Sure.
And I did some research about this, and I found that people who have undergone such complications, their health insurance provider or someone from that standpoint, covers those costs associated. We just want to prevent them from undergoing the trauma associated out of sepsis and any of the complications of the device. Yeah.
Just a bit on the device, you can also, you can not only sample, I guess here's a question, you can sample the interstitial fluid.
You can sample, yeah.
But right, which is the goal here, but can you deliver drugs by this mechanism? Because a lot of those, so for example, the indwelling port, a lot of times it's used, for example, to deliver.
Drug delivery, yeah, that's right. So that's another component we will be working towards in the future. So though I guess our main goal here is to combine the data you would receive from whatever the biomarkers you extract from the skin, quantify the data, and deliver the necessary, I guess, alleviating drug to the skin based on the amount of whatever biomarker will be present. So if you would have a high amount of glucose content in your blood, we can deliver small amounts of insulin over continuous intervals of time. That's something we are working towards on this side, but have not yet incorporated into this device.
Okay, because just my observation would be that for a lot of the adverse events that are associated with indwelling lines are typically associated with those lines being in for a period of time. Right? So like with sepsis, specifically as an example, a lot of times in that case there's an indwelling Foley catheter. For example, they could be in a nursing home and then they get a pseudomodal infection and then it blows up. But then there are certainly others, classic ported venous lines. That's an issue as well. So to the extent that you can actually do both, including delivering drug or therapeutic,
Yeah, I've read through like a lot of patents that use microneedles to actually deliver those drugs into the skin. There's so many mechanisms. They either use the needles to inject the drugs, or the needles are made out of the drugs themselves that just dissolve, diffuse in a long period of time. But we're trying to we will in the future try to work towards the dual approach. Currently, our goal is to see if we can quantify accurately enough so that the data makes sense with when compared with extracting blood and what have you.
Have you designed a proof of concept protocol?
Yes, we've actually 3D bioprinted one such device with a probe that can actually, basically once it's under the skin, this is specifically for glucose. We're trying to extend it to other bio elements of the body. So it's basically a probe that once you insert it into a porcine skin, it reacts with the glucose and produces glucose oxidase enzyme. And there's a way to quantify that, and it tells you the data accurately. So we've done this in a lab scale setup. Our next step here is to incorporate all of that into this one tiny device. So yeah, it's a big leap here to getting there, and we're working on it right now.
And have you considered the regulatory path?
The FDA, the road to FDA, yeah, that's something that's we're doing parallelly. I think we would incorporate this as a class 2 device. It's not completely invasive, it's minimally invasive, and we can prove that there's less risk involved in terms of the microneedles breaking and dissolving the skin and causing tissue scarring and what have you.
That probably require a clinical trial, right?
That's right, yeah.
I mean, not all class 2 devices do, but in this case, you're most likely going to have to.
Right.
Are you planning on trying to get out of sell the company prior to getting to that point, or
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are you looking to sell the company prior to getting to that point?
No, we'd actually like to conduct the tests, in vivo tests, to make sure that this works prior to, I guess, incorporating.
Sorry, who are your customers?
So our customers would, one segment of our customers would be type 1 diabetes patients, because they're the ones who undergo continuous testing at frequent intervals of time. The other people, our other customer segment would be chemotherapy patients. For one reason, I think I previously mentioned that in one of my slides, there are port catheters that are implanted into the body for the purpose of blood collection and diagnosis, so they would also serve as another upper market segment. And of course, people with sensitive things also constitute the third upper market segment.
Well, in that population, there's a significant high need, right? So if you've got a patient is suffering from, leukemia or lymphoma.
Right.
They've got an indwelling, port, they're not only administering medications, but they're drawing plasma to test, and then they're also, providing so that population, I mean, it's a kind of a niche population, but it seems to me to be very, very high need and extremely high risk of developing complications.
Exactly. Right, and also the cost associated with just implanting a catheter over the skin.
So is your device reusable?
So it's not reusable, but it can stay on the skin for a long period of time. In the sense, at least one component of it, that's the microneedle and the patch that sits on the skin, is reusable. The reservoir can be replaced, but it will be towards the same patient.
So if I'm with diabetes, if that's your target market, I need to buy your product once, and then a year or a decade, the rest of my life, I don't need another one, or?
It depends on the frequency in which you, I guess, do the extraction, like 5 or 6 times, because at that point, the microneedles can either dissolve way along with the skin, or they would just be, I guess there could be issues arising from tissue clogging into the microneedles with frequent usage. So it would be reusable. We haven't conducted significant testing in terms of how many times you can reuse it before you experience clogging, but it's definitely reusable more than once. You can say.
So 1 a week.
Once, I guess more than once.
Yeah.
And I would think that you're probably, while diabetes people are the end user, the payer is actually probably going to be the insurance company. Right. So the diabetes people will probably, and I don't know, I don't have diabetes, thankfully, but I think if you start getting into like the medical area, the people will look to an insurance company to kind of make most of it, if not all, they make their copay. So you might, if you think this through, think about how to position it to them, because they're the people who actually pay the money.
So you're actually trying to divert it to like the healthcare providers?
Well, I think you want to get knowledge at the end user so that they pull it through, but at the same time you attack the insurance companies to explain a lot of the benefits that, hey, right now an insurance company has a solution in place, whatever it is, how to test your blood. Okay, they know how it works, they know the business model, they know their profit levels, they know all of that. Okay, so they're going to need something compelling to move off of that. So you're going to want your end user to demand it, so that the insurance company says, hey, there's a demand from our subscribers. But then you're also going to want to pitch to the insurance company to say, overall, your costs for running diabetes blood tests for all of your subscribers should come down, and these are the reasons why.
It's a double push-pull go-to-market program. So you want to pull through your end users, you want to push on physicians as well as your insurance.
Yes, kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah.
Right, but you're going to have to, in my opinion, you're going to have to quantify the benefits.
Right.
Dollars and cents. So remember, even though you're solving a particular patient problem, at the end of the day, it's a business, and you have to go, you got to either save money, generate revenue, blah, blah, blah. It's,
I'll actually build on the sort of the suggestion of payers and customers. It's going to vary by segment, right? So when we talk about patients who are suffering from leukemia or lymphoma, that's a completely different consideration, obviously from an outcomes perspective, than a typical primary care diabetes patient who's, if they're type 1, they're used to pricking their skin since they were 2 years old or 3 years old, and then getting an insulin shot. So it's going to vary significantly by individual segment. But good.
We have time. We'll take one more question and then wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.